Donald Trump's new campaign leadership has produced its first actual results. Now he's sorry for some of the things that he said. Let's watch.
I've never been politically correct. It takes far too much time. Sure. Sometimes, in the heat of debate and speaking on a multitude of issues, you don't choose the right words or you say the wrong thing. I have done that. And believe it or not, I regret it. Thank you. And I do regret it, particularly where it may have caused personal pain. Too much is at stake for us to be consumed with these issues. But one thing I can promise you this, I will always tell you the truth.
We looked into that. That was a lie, actually. So he uses the word issues. I don't think he knows what it means, actually. Speaking about a multitude of issues, he does not speak about a multitude of issues. But then especially, we can't be consumed by these issues, referring to the things he says that he regrets. But that's not the problem. The problem isn't that he speaks about the issues and he gets the facts wrong, although he does, and he's not regretting that. It's that he does pointless feuds and vendettas against people like the Khan family and Megyn Kelly, and those are the ways that he hurts people. They're completely needless, and they're not issue-related.
You're a loser. People need to be, they're too weak. You need to stand up and fight people like the Khans. That's what it's like. Tough. You know what? It did show media bias. I don't know if you saw where we got that clip from. It was from the Erin Burnett's show. She's out front. And to show some more of that media bias, they aired that speech in its entirety.
They're so rough.
They
on him.
Selectively editing out all the other news in the world.
When are they going to stop beating up on him like that and showing his speeches? They know it hurts them when people see him talk nonstop without being fact-checked or anything. They know that's bad for him, and they keep doing it to him. Why won't they stop that? He has a point, Trump. That the media is against him.
Look, there's only one thing that this speech today matters, and it's proof positive that Donald Trump will say anything to be president, including an apology.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to.
That wasn't really an apology.
What's great about that apology, there's no sadness or even like the fake, like a politician could do fake or like fake gravitas.
There's no sincerity to even fake
sincerity. Done. There's none of that. It's like, I regret it, I swear I do. I'm going to try to think of an example. I got nothing. I'm not going to give an example. Nobody knows what he was actually referring to. And this is, of course, a pivot that he's doing, which, as you pointed out during the video, was on the teleprompter. This was not him being introspective while speaking, stream of consciousness like he normally does. The teleprompter might have literally only had, I regret that, written on it. Coming just like a week after he says, I am who I am, it's me. I don't want to change, but I guess I'll make a very vague, unconvincing apology if that will get me up in the polls a little bit.
His previous pivot was when he went from being racist against Mexicans to just anti-Semitism. That was his previous pivot.
Nice switch.
So, yeah. So, first of all, you guys are right. He was on a prompter. They acknowledge that. So, obviously, his new team wrote this for him, which is a little strange because his new team's supposed to be less apologetic. So, but they lead with an apology. So that was interesting. But what was, to me, the funniest moment is in the middle of the so-called apology where he says, I regret the things I've said. People are like, yeah, right.
Yes.
Trump, 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 Trump. Like they thought he was kidding.
Yes.
They're like, yeah, because he started with, I'm not known for being politically correct, so he got him in the right mood. And then when he continued, and then the room fell really silent, if you notice, for a little while, right? Because they're like, wait, does he mean it?
Yeah.
I thought we thought he was joking. Oh, that's weird. Why would he ever apologize for anything, right? Yeah. We're not in the mood for that.
I like, everybody's focusing on the apology part. I liked the beginning, though, where he acknowledged, and he's totally right, that sometimes you don't have time to be politically correct.
You don't have time.
Like, you don't have time to not call Mexicans rapists and murderers.
Right.
It's like, you don't have time for it. If there was time, that'd be great.
You know how long, let's think of one little thing. How much longer does it take to say African-American than it does to say the other word?
Oh, I thought you were going to say when he said in the crowd, that's my African-American. See, he added a word there. Okay, so now my favorite part of this is Kellyanne Conway, who's now basically his campaign manager. She's not the CEO, that's Steve Bannon of the campaign, whatever the hell that means. She's trying to explain what happened here. and she says, they ask him, like, who the hell's he talking about? What's he apologizing for? He was talking about anyone who feels offended by anything he said. That's amazing. So
Is that not an apology tour?
One, we're not actually going to apologize for any specific thing.
Yeah.
Two, he said so many offensive things. We're doing a carte blanche
Yeah.
apology for everything he's ever said. And, just pick him. Pick him. Whatever you were offended by, he apologizes for that.
Just baptized.
But if, like, for example, if you're a part of a minority group that he offended, but you like when he offends the other minority groups, okay, then he's not apologizing for that part. He's only apologizing for your part. Okay, just feel free to interpret it any way you like.
Yeah.
And then,
can we show a little bit of the Kellyanne Conway, actually?
Yes.
Because she now works for the Trump campaign, so her main job is going on TV and being forced to lie to cover him. And you're going to see that about the origins of this new attack in his campaign.
He was talking about anyone who feels offended by anything he said, and that's all him. He took extra time yesterday going over that speech with a pen. So that was a decision he made. Those are his words. And I hope that everybody who's criticized him at some point, David, for being insensitive or for mocking someone, at least shows some recognition and some forgiveness.
Why the regret now? Some people might say, was that you?
It was not me. That's all Donald Trump. He's the candidate here. I'm not.
But why the regret now?
Well, it's an expression of regret. Perhaps he felt it before, but he expressed it now.
He just did it 48 hours after totally changing his entire campaign staff.
I love that.
Shake-up.
Perhaps he felt it before. He's just expressing it now that he's on a teleprompter with a speech I wrote.
Perhaps he felt it, but perhaps he felt it before. Perhaps, maybe he feels it now, but probably not.
Donald Trump
He's
kind of
expressing
reminds me. Donald Trump kind of reminds me of like Hunter S. Thompson. If you got him to like run for office, right? And he's just like complete, and he was a racist bigot. It was like stream of consciousness. Just like antagonizing everyone. And then every once in a while, you get Hunter like sober, and he'd be like talking, and he'd be like, oh, this isn't really funny anymore. Like he's not on acid. And that's how I feel about Donald Trump when he has these like moments of clarity.
I just want to go back to it does take a lot of time to be politically correct. It does take, like, for instance, I used to say Irish American, and then I shortened it up. I just say Mick, right? Now, that's about an extra 2 seconds it takes you to say Irish American or Mick. Now, what do I do with that extra 2 seconds? You say that's just 2 seconds. Yeah, but over a month, that adds up, right? And that's like an extra 30 minutes a month. And what do I do with that time? I get a massage.
Time well spent. See, yeah.
What you guys think about it? So sometimes there's small tics that people have when they're lying. So when she gets asked questions on a rapid fire, Kellyanne, is it?
Yeah.
So when he asks her, okay, so what was it? And she goes, oh no, that was him himself. He had a pen last night. Why do you talk about the pen on the paper? Like small details that you don't need. We don't need to know that he had a pen and he was writing the paper. Just like, no, he did it himself last night. I saw him doing it.
He had a pen.
But said he had a pen.
That's the extra
Who cares?
added detail that reveals they're lying.
Absolutely.
And by the way, imagine if President Obama had to script out on a teleprompter, I'm sorry I hurt people's feelings. They would attack him.
Oh, the
That
apology
tour. And all the teleprompters, so pathetic. You can't be honest.